All right, Akim, Shalom. Shalom, first and foremost, let's give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone, for teaching us the truth. Salutations to the sincere Akim and Aqua that may listen. May the blessing of election be upon your house. My name is Brother Raquai. I'm back in here with another quick and Lord's will, as always, an edifying lesson. And for today's lesson, is title I have on the screen. It says 2 is better than 1. And what inspired this lesson was it was a video I saw from the elder in South Carolina in regards to a comment that was left on his video. So just for reference, this is the video here, and the video is titled "I Don't Do Camps, Demon," right? So the individual sees, the video, and they left a comment, and they had a strong hesitation, I should say, in regards to leaving as opposed to being part of a camp, right? So they probably have some doubt, whatever it is. Or they might be in that lone wolf spirit, right? And I guess I want to touch on a couple things why 2 is better than 1, especially in these times. So what I want to do, I want to read a couple precepts I have written down here. It's just a little windy where I am, so just bear with me on this. But hopefully you can hear me. So I kind of just wanted to add in my 2 cents in regards to this, right? Because it's, in particular in these times, and I remember I was talking with my elder about this last week when we were, and saying that in these times, we're all we have, right? And that's really the truth of the matter, right? So let me start off with this precept here. And I pray and hope sincerely that this lesson is edifying, So let's go to Sirach. This is Sirach chapter 37, verse 12, and it says, "But be continually with a godly man who knoweth to keep the commandments of the Lord Yahweh, whose mind is according to thy mind." It says, "and will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry." And that's very, very, very important, during these times, because, just personal testimony. I remember reflecting on a couple of days ago, an experience, when I was in need of counsel, in need of, decent, advice, not just regular advice, so to speak, because anybody can give advice. As a matter of fact, I believe this same chapter goes into that, right? Knowing who is giving you advice, but, being continually in the presence of, godly men who actually exemplify the fear of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, right? And actually, live and apply Yahweh Shai, seeing Yahweh Shai in our brethren, right? And, applying Yahweh Shai, applying these scriptures, and applying these fruits of the Spirit, so to speak, in our daily lives, right? And that's so important because a lot of our people don't have that fear of the Lord, one. And number two, when a lot of our people would take, if you sorrow with them, they don't actually, can give you good understanding. Because in Isaiah, it says that if they don't speak according to, this word, roughly paraphrased, there is no light in them. And a lot of our people don't have that, essentially that light to actually be able to guide you properly, right? So, that's very, very, important, around these times, because in Babylon the Great, being mingled with these heathens, essentially, especially Esau, we've adopted a mindset of essentially biting one another. That dog eat dog, it's all about me, And a lot of us may have had that particular mindset growing up in being in the world, so to speak. But those are that's a mindset to put off, right? I'm just gonna pause the video 1 second at this traffic pass. Salakia, I just wanted to stay outside, and make this video, right? It's kind of fresh. It's nice and fresh air outside right now. But as the point I was saying, a lot of our people, they would take your sorrow, and they would use it. They might have a wicked intent towards it. I'm sure you've experienced it. Like, for example, you open up, I don't know, to somebody who you believe would be your best friend and have your interest at heart, and then you realize you couldn't trust this person. You couldn't trust them with particular things. They're very distrustworthy, right? They might use the information that you told them in secrecy, and they might use it to make money or whatever, right? That is, right? Jacob can be very, very wicked like that, right? So it's a very individualistic society mindset that our people have adopted, being in this captivity. It's not just about the money. A lot of the conduct, is one of the biggest things as a nation we've lost, right? Being mingled amongst these heathens, especially Esau, right? So there's another precept I wanted to just bring out real quickly and have this on the list, and it says, be not, excuse me, hold on. Romans 12 verse 2, Slakia. It says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed in the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is good and acceptable and the perfect will of the Most High, right? So we're not conformed to the mindsets and the behaviors and the customs of Babylon the Great, this captivity that we're under, right? We're transformed, and we put off that. Essentially, the point of the lesson here is to put off that, that lone wolf spirit, because that lone wolf spirit is not going to get you. It doesn't get you very far, right? And I'm just making this lesson to push off that spirit and to apply Yahushai, right? When we're amongst, our brethren. Just bear with me on this. Okay, so this is Sirach 40, verse 25, and it says, gold and silver make the foot stand sure, but counsel is esteemed above them both, right? And it's so refreshing, and one of the benefits to actually being a part of a body, being a part and being surrounded by godly men, being a part of a body that actually has and exemplifies a fear of the Lord, is to properly get good counsel. Because when you go through chapters such as 1 Corinthians 12, it outlines essentially an order of operations, right? And there are different brothers, like, say for example, like, me personally, I'm not the biggest connoisseur, so to speak. It's a French word for an expert. A connoisseur when it comes to herbs, right? But there are brothers who are skillful in these particular things. There are brothers who are skillful in, speaking very confidently. There are brothers who are skillful in, whether maybe it's women, maybe it's clothing, maybe it's all these different avenues that you can probably even think of, right? There are brothers who are extremely good listeners, right? There are brothers who are very good at reading, who understand the body, right? Like, I'm talking about your physical body, right? So these are there's so many. There's a whole plethora of different talents that the Most High, Yahushua gave to different brothers and set it up in different camps, right? They come with the different walks of life, and this is the kinds of counsel they'll be able to properly guide you on, because they have not only their own talents, but they have a plethora of also experience. Also, they understand what it is to because they're walking the same walk as you, right? So why not understand that there is a whole range of benefits, being part of a camp, right? But not just being a part of, just a regular camp, right? Because there's a lot of camps out there that essentially mislead our people, right? But, being part of a body who actually is accordant and speaks the same thing and believes the same thing as you, right? I believe it says that in Ephesians. Let me just get that really quickly, because I just want to make that point also. Ephesians 4:4, and it says, "For there is one body, one spirit, even as ye are called in one hope of your calling, one Lord, one faith, one baptism," right? So we don't, essentially, we don't have, multiple doctrines, and so to speak, right? We're all moving in unison. That's really the point I'm trying to, trying to, discuss here, but the part I wanted to also touch on is that, different brothers have different offices, and they have also different talents. They're also very experts in different, particular things, right? Also to outline the benefits of actually being part of a body. Because if you really think of it, I heard the elder in Vegas talk about this, and he said, if your arm is not attached to your body, the arm is essentially useless. Your brain can't send nerves. It can't communicate with that arm, right? It can't actually, blood cannot be pumped to the vessels, the veins, or the different parts of the arm, right? There is no communication. It's a cutoff, right? So what happens to that arm? That arm, essentially, it withers and it dies, because the brain can't access it, the heart can't access it. The major parts of the body cannot actually, send information, send nutrients, send and stay connected, right? So this person who has this mindset that you want to be completely disconnected from the body is, essentially what happens is you just wither and you die, right? Kind of like if we were to just not abide in Yahweh Shai. I believe it says that in John the 15th chapter, So another aspect I also wanted to touch on, I think I've brought this up before, but as a matter of fact, let me get this precept, because I did a lot of talking. As a matter of fact, let me get this into BLB. Just bear with me on this. I want to see how it's worded in the NLT. Right. Oh, this is good. This says the advantages of companionship. Wow. Okay, so Ecclesiastes, I'll start at verse 7. So this is Ecclesiastes 4, verse 7. And it says this: I observed yet another example of something meaningless under the sun. There is the case of a man who is all alone, without a child or a brother, yet who works hard to gain as much wealth as he can. But then he asks himself, who am I working for? Who am I giving up so much pleasure now? It says it is all so meaningless and depressing. Verse 9, it says, 2 people are better off than one. That's what inspired this lesson. For they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, another can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. And it's true. There's no one there around to, kind of essentially watch your back, right? And, make sure that, you don't slip, and, you have another pair of eyes to, be mindful of, not just your, like, say if you go out and you're out hiking or something like that, you have another pair of eyes, make sure that, the path is clear, to make sure you're watching for dangers. And, sometimes another brother can catch things that you may not be able to catch, right? So, advantages, again, of actually being part of a body. So it says here, verse 11, likewise, two people lying close together can keep each other warm. But how can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken, right? And that's true. The more you have in unison, the more the greater the advantage, so to speak. You're able to help each other stay strong. There's a scripture, and I think in Luke, where it says, when thou art converted, you strengthen thy brethren, right? So that is part. And another thing that it also keeps the fire going. You go through some hell during the week, whether it's with maybe your family or your woman or your people dealing with demons at workplace. You have each other to be able to, like, okay, let's keep the fire kindled, right? And that's another thing too. By us actually exemplifying and doing these particular things, we are able to apply Yahushai. Because I was thinking about this earlier before I made this lesson, was the fact that how can we apply Yahushai if we're always being by ourselves? We can't. We have to be, Yahushai washed the disciples' feet, right? And that is another component and aspect I also wanted to touch on, right? We actually are able to exemplify the things that Yahushua did, right? Because if you really think of it, we're not justified by the law. If you really think of it, right? I think it says that in Galatians, right? No flesh shall be justified, to roughly paraphrase, right? So we actually have an opportunity being amongst brethren to apply Yahushua. So it's also, it's a win-win-win situation, right? If you really, if you're spiritual, right? And if you go through the things that Yahushua did, like, this is something that, that the Lord, we would hope that, by us practicing these things, we want the Lord to remember us in these particular times of trouble, right? So, let me get, I believe it's 1 Samuel 19. Okay, this is, I'll start at verse 1, actually. So the title here, it says, Saul tries to kill David. So this is 1 Samuel chapter 19, verse 1, and it says this, and read it in the NLT. So it says, Saul now urged his servants and his son Jonathan to assassinate David. But Jonathan, because of his strong affection for David, told him what his father was planning. Tomorrow morning, he warned him, you must find a hiding place in the fields. It says, I'll ask my father to go out there with me, and I'll talk to him about you. Now, I'll tell you everything I can find out. So imagine you're in a situation like this. Or imagine if, for example, you have like some family member, they're going, bonkers on you, and imagine what it would be like to have a friend like that, in that particular situation, who is able to be a hedge of protection for you, speak on your behalf, but not even also speak on your behalf, but also give you an alternative. Okay, you can, essentially, come, at my place. You can hide out at my place, right? To blow over the heat or blow over the situation, right? Imagine that kind of protection. It says this, verse 4, the next morning Jonathan spoke with his father about David, saying many good things about him, and the king must not sin against his servant David. Jonathan said, "He's never done anything to harm you. He has always helped you in any way he could." Verse 5. "Have you forgotten about the time he risked his life to kill the Philistine giant, and how the Lord Yahweh brought a great victory to Israel, and as a result, you were certainly happy about it then?" So essentially what Jonathan is doing is making his case, right? Because, he has a strong, desire to, be, that hedge of protection for David, right? So it says, "Why should you murder an innocent man like David? There is no reason for it at all." So Verse 6, "So Saul listened to Jonathan and vowed, 'As surely as the Lord Yahweh lives, David would not be killed.' Afterward, Jonathan called David and told him what had happened. Then he brought David to Saul, and David served in the court as before," right? So imagine having that, hedge of protection, especially when you're going through a rough time, right? That's very, very important during these times, especially in times to come, because, a lot of, there's a lot of, as the scriptures say in Matthew 24, that the love of many shall wax cold. That would also include a lot of your family members, a lot of our family members, right? So imagine having that, that godly man, that friend, or that hedge of protection during those times, right? So I guess I'll stop here, but I really hope that that really solidifies the point. But in regards to this person that has a very strong, I guess, distaste for camps, because they might think that camps are, they might be in a lone wolf spirit, so to speak. That's something that's of the world. That's not something that, the Most High through His Son Yahweh Shai set up. Through our apostles and elders, right? We have different offices with different brothers with different talents, and then we also have the opportunity, to recap the lesson, we have the opportunity to be able to exemplify Yahweh Shai, by the way we forbear and treat each other, and so on and so forth, right? So I guess I'll leave it there, but I sincerely hope that this lesson was edifying. Just like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kak Wadash, that honors the apostles and elders, great millstone of teaching us the truth. Till next time, I say Shalom.